So direction determines destination. All right? Your direction determines your destination. Have you ever followed someone as you're driving or your parents are driving and they just veered all of a sudden to the right? I do this a lot because I forget where I'm going and just realize, oh, that's the exit I wanted. It's a real problem when you've got other people following you. Has someone ever have you ever driven and you've seen one of those left-hand exits? Those really throw you off. When you think it's a right-hand exit, it's a left-hand exit, and then you got to go across 5 lanes of traffic, right? So it's track season right now. How many of you run track? Okay, right? So when you're running, can you imagine running next to your buddy and just not looking straight ahead, but just running alongside while you're talking to your buddy? Muscle memory. You know, we were talking about senior jokes, and I think one of the best senior jokes, if you're in track, I think one of the best things you could do is you could sign up in track to run like that last race, that 2 mile, and you could just walk it as slow as you can. Just come out and we're going to be here all night. I think it would be a great senior joke. I know some of you aren't willing. If I was running track, I know that I would have no chance at any college scholarship. That's what I would do. I would come out and I would walk it, like as slow as I could. All right, direction determines destination. All right, every path, there is some type of danger that could be on it. Your attention influences your direction, all right? That's your first point. Attention influences direction. So if you are keeping your eyes over here, this is where your attention is at. Like there are certain people in your classrooms, at your school, maybe at your job, you just catch out of the corner of your eye and it completely distracts you. All right, maybe you're sitting there in class and you see someone picking their nose and it's like a train wreck. You cannot take your eyes off of it. They are digging for gold and you're either hoping they get it, like come on, you're rooting for them. Or B, you're hoping that please do not flip that booger on me. And then sometimes they get it and you see this. Under the desk, right? It's not gum under your desk sometimes, right? Yeah, I just ruined it for some of you. You're like, that's not gum. That's a booger, right? So you just see them out of the corner of your eye. And you lock in and you cannot get your focus back on what the teacher or what's happening, all right? Man, traffic. Weatherford traffic is driving me crazy. And there's no point. There's no accident. And if there is an accident, what does everyone do? Yeah, the service road. And then the service road gets backed up. And then they realize, oh, it's speeding up. Let's get back on the highway. So right as you start going, it slows down again. But everyone's doing this. And they slow down to see what's going on. Who cares? Go forward. The gas is on the right. Brake is on the left, all right? It drives me crazy. So there's a big difference between what grabs our attention and what we give our attention to. Check out this video.
I had an overwhelming sense of ickiness. Even though I apologized to Lucy, something was still plaguing me. Like Josh thinking I was mean was making me postal.
Move into the right lane?
Anyway, why should I care what Josh thinks? Why was I letting it throw me into such turmoil?
Watch out for the bike lane!
Oops, my bad.
What are you doing? You can't take up both lanes. Get in the right lane.
Oh, should I write them a note?
Pull over up here and turn off the engine. That right there.
Oh. Are you going to take me somewhere to make left-hand turns?
We're going back to the DMV.
It's over?
It's over.
Well, how did I do?
How'd you do? Well, let's see, shall we? You can't park. You can't switch lanes. You can't make right-hand turns, you've damaged private property, and you almost killed someone. Offhand, I'd say you failed.
Failed? Well, can't we just start over? I mean, I'm kind of having a personal problem. My mind was somewhere else. I mean, you saw how that biker came out of nowhere, right? Oh, I swear I'll concentrate. I drive really good usually. Isn't there somebody else I can talk to, a supervisor or something? I mean, it can't be the absolute and final word in driver's licenses.
Girlie, as far as you're concerned, I'm the messiah of the DMV. Now get out of the car.
You all laugh, but this is how some of us go through life. Blame's a whole different thing, but our attention is on so many different things. While we're doing one thing, we're drifting to the right, to the left. Maybe we can't make up our minds. And that's exactly what's going on here. Something grabbed her attention while she was driving, and that's what she kept focusing on. So here's the difference. The difference is a decision that we make. See, your emotions are going to fade. And that's what's really trying to grab our attention. It's the emotion. It's playing on that emotion. Example, I've all talked about it before, that dog commercial, you know, the dog that hasn't eaten in 5 years and they want you to send money to the company, and it's always during December. And you know what Pastor Mark does during that commercial? Change channel. Change channels. Or I think, wow, I wonder if they are willing to adopt my dog. I wonder if that would work. I can't do that because Shane won't let me. But here's the deal. It's an emotion they're trying to play on. The difference is if you give something attention, it means you make an intentional decision to give that thing an attention. And that's the difference between a decision. It's emotional or it's a decision. If you're giving something attention, you're making that emotional decision. So tonight we're going to look at a couple of verses, all right? So everything that you give attention to is an intentional choice, all right? Whether it's church, sports, the Bible, friends, school. Some of you remember last year that went to camp with us that there was a direct correlation between I feel distance from God, but I'm not reading my Bible. I'm distant from God, but I'm also not reading my Bible. It took you a while, but some of you got it. There is a correlation there. There is a connection. God didn't go anywhere. We did. Because we decided to give our attention to someone or something else. Okay? So Deuteronomy 7:12, Old Testament. So God selects this guy and he says, you're going to bring my people out of slavery. And so Moses leads them out. He gives them 10 commandments. If you've seen the movie, he goes up to the mountain and he speaks in this deep, godly voice. And he says, you're going to lead my people out. And then God gives Moses the 10 commandments. These are the 10 commandments the people are supposed to obey. And this is what God says in Deuteronomy 7:12. This is what he says. And because you listen to these rules and keep them and do them, the Lord your God will keep with you the covenant and steadfast love that he swore to your fathers. So God is saying, if you do these rules, he will stay with you. He will direct the path that you've directed. Some of you may be thinking, well, this sounds like really crazy. Like God says, if you obey me, this is what I will do. Well, there's some truth to that. So it's this concept. If you do what God has asked you to do, in some sense, he is going to protect you from certain things. It's no different than your parents. They're asking you to do certain things because they know what that outcome's going to be, right? Hey, we want you to drive the speed limit. Some of you are laughing, but here's what happens if you don't drive the speed limit. There are other things that can happen. You may lose control of the car. You could hurt someone. Like, if you think about it, I'm going to scare the daylights out of some of you. For those of you that are driving, if you get into one accident and someone is badly hurt, you realize that you could be charged with manslaughter and you not even meant to hurt someone. It is a scary thought because if you made one decision, okay? So God says if you do this, man, he is going to protect you. God is saying that you are going to if you don't become distracted, all right? You are getting ready to go to a new land. There's going to be people living to your right, people living to your left, and I want you to stay focused on what I've asked you to do. If you pay attention to these laws, there's going to be blessings, all right? When I first started driving, I had a really sweet ride. It was a 93 Ford Escort station wagon. It was baby blue, right? It was sweet. I had a sunroof. I had a CD player. I was the coolest person at my school. Not really. I love that car, right? And so what happened is, what does every guy do when they first get a new car? Okay. You see how fast it'll go, right? I mean, the car may be shaking like this at 60 miles an hour, but I'm going to see how fast it goes. And then the other thing you do is like, I am going to lay down some rubber. Like, I'm going to smoke these tires. And the secret is, you probably already know this, but you put bleach on the tires. Yeah. Then you can really create some smoke. I was the coolest 93 Ford Escort station wagon roasting my tires. I thought I was cool. But here's what I learned. When I'm smoking these tires, I am burning rubber. Woo! That costs me money. Because I have to put new tires on this car. I didn't think about it. I thought it was just the tires just magically smoke. It's just a natural, I didn't realize it was rubber burning on the ground. And I'm just throwing money at it saying, yay. It's like fireworks. Some of you go out and you buy tons of fireworks. You're just blowing money up. Yeah, like I'll give you a piece of paper. You can light this on fire. You give me the $100 bill. I'll put that in my pocket and give you a piece of paper and you can light the paper on fire. I think it's a good idea. But see, the thing is, I thought it was really cool, but it wasn't. I learned the cost. And my dad thought, hey, what are you doing? He knew that ahead of time that it would cost me something. If you look at 2 Kings 25:9, it's a verse and it says, and he burned the house of the Lord. See, what happens later on is the Israelites, they lose their temple. It's burned to the ground because they disobey what God has asked them to do. So the enemy's allowed to sneak in and take over. There was a pattern of disobedience. If you look through the book of 2 Kings and you start following, every time a new king takes over, there's a couple of verses where it says, and they did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. And then the next king, and they did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. And then maybe the next king did what was good in the sight of the Lord. But then the next verse says they did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. See, they're stuck in this pattern. And what happens is, for you and for me, while you're at school, what someone else is doing may look really, really fun. But it may not be the best decision. It may not be God-honoring. And as you start looking to what they're doing, your eyes get focused off of Jesus and you start following what they're doing. And you end up over here. And the longer you keep your eyes off of what Jesus has said, the more that you drift over here. And you get off of the course that you want. Does that make sense? There's other religions next to Israelites. And they start looking at what these other religions are doing. And they get farther and farther off course. Psalms 119. I think we have this verse. 35 through 37. This is what David says. Lead me in the path of your commandments, for I delight in it. Incline my heart to your testimonies and not to selfish gain. Turn my eyes from looking at worthless things and give me life in your ways. Turn my eyes from looking at worthless things. This is a great verse. Have you ever sat down and thought, man, in my life, what am I giving attention to that's worthless? Like, what is not shaping my life of where I want to go? What is something that I need to cut out? Because it's really not helping me. Like, I have to look at this from a job standpoint with my life all the time. There's this pastor's luncheon that happens for area pastors. And it happens quite a bit. And I have to look at it from a standpoint of, is it going to help me minister to students more? Not really. So I don't go a lot. But what will help me is maybe eating lunch with an area youth pastor and seeing what's going on in their life and praying for him and him praying for me. Like, that one-on-one is more important to me. It says, don't fix your eyes on something that's worthless. What are you spending your time on that's just worthless? Maybe you're scrolling every morning through Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is that you're looking through on your phone. Like, is it adding value? Is it honoring God? The next verse says this, Proverbs 4:25 through 27. Let your eyes look directly forward and your gaze be straight before you. Ponder the path of your feet, then all your ways will be sure. Do not swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes. Okay, everyone, close your eyes. Now, I want you to do something really important. I want you to put up your pointer finger. Just like, put it up in the air. Now, I want you all to point north. Go. Okay, point north. 1, 2. Okay, when I'm going to tell you to open your eyes, open your eyes. Open your eyes. Now look around. Woo, you are all close. Not really. All right? There's a few of you that Cooper, he's pointing up, right? Never eat soggy waffles. So Cooper's going this way. All right? North is right there. Perfect north is right there. All right? So here's the deal. If you look at it at this verse, let your eyes look directly forward. If you want to go north, this is the way you've got to go. And if you take your eyes off of this way, you are going to drift to the right or to the left. And if you're aiming to go north, and let's say you'll end up between Kansas City and St. Louis. If you look to your right or your left, instead of splitting right between them, you could end up in Kansas City. And the farther you walk, the more you'll be off course. The Bible says, let your eyes look directly forward. See, you don't want to miss your target. If you take your eyes off of it, you will automatically drift. Be intentional. Matthew 6:22. This is what it says. It says, the eye is the lamp of the body, so if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. See, the author of this knew something. He knew that whatever you see is going to influence you. What you're putting your eyes on is going to evaluate the direction and the path that you're on. If your eyes are focusing on something that you shouldn't, that's what you're going to dwell on. That's what you're going to focus on. The more attention that you give something, the more that you are going to be off course. See, sin is the same way. The sin that we have in our life, we know that we shouldn't be focused on that sin. And when we take our eyes off of Jesus and we start focusing on the person to our right or left, or because their life looks fun or their social media looks funner than our life, and we start focusing on that, we start to drift. And the more that we focus on that, the more that we start to drift. The verse is, the eye is the lamp of the body. See, where your attention is where you're going to go. And if our attention is focused on Jesus, if it's focused on his word, that's the route that we're going to go. And we're going to be able to filter out all the worthless things that are thrown at our way. We have to make decisions. Be intentional. Like, there are things that are going to be grabbing your attention. But if they just grab at it, they're just playing with your emotions. And if you say, hey, I'm not going to give it any more time, it's called being intentional. You're going to get rid of it. You're not going to focus on it. So, here's some questions as the band starts making their way up. When you start looking and finding out what your intention is, where are you spending your time? My challenge for you is to simply write down your schedule. Write your schedule down. Where do you spend your time? And in your schedule, as you start looking at it, where does Jesus fall? Maybe you're really, really busy and Jesus gets pushed to the curb. When you get busy, what gets pushed to the curb? Write your schedule down. See where you're being intentional. There are all sorts of things that we do that we waste time with. God's word says to be really intentional and keep your eyes focused on Jesus, to guard that path that he has for you. Let me pray. Father, we thank you for this time that we're able to gather together to look at your word. Father, I pray that you would make our path straight, that you would keep us from drifting from the right to the left. Father, that you would guard our path, that you would help us to stay fixed and focused on you. We pray these things in your name. Amen.